Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Dhamma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Dhamma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Dhamma sambuddhassa. Venerable Chief Reverend, Venerable Sirs, friends and children in the Dhamma, welcome to the Saturday Dhamma talk. Today, the topic is Dhammānupassanā, contemplation on the mental objects. So far, we have completed the triple objects of Vipassana meditation, Kāyanupassana, contemplation on the physical body, the form, Vedananupassana, contemplation on the feelings or sensations that arise in the body, Cittanupassana, contemplation on the consciousness. And today, the fourth factor of contemplation called Dhammānupassanā. And this Dhammānupassanā is subdivided into the categories of 5 hindrances, Pancha Nivarana, 5 aggregates, Pancha Khanda, 6 bases, Sakkayatana, 7 enlightenment factors, Satta Bojjhanga, and 4 noble truths, Tattari Ariya Satchan. Many of these 5 categories are going to be discussed during the oncoming talks based on these 37 enlightenment factors. Therefore, we concentrate on this talk to discuss on the 5 hindrances or Pancha Nivaranas. These 5 hindrances are taken in the first category because of the importance of their presence as the hindrances, as the obstacles for one's development in meditation, either samatha, concentration, or vipassana, insight. 5 hindrances. Their main purpose is to hinder, obstruct one's progress either to heavenly realms or to nirvana itself. If somebody is obsessed, overwhelmed by these hindrances, his cultivation of spirituality could be either completely obstructed, completely stopped, or in a slow progress. Therefore, it is advisable to have a clear understanding on these hindrances prior to one's practice on meditation, because as they arise in meditation, he can recognize them and can deal with them with wisdom, with intelligence, or else unknowingly they either completely surrender to these hindrances and give up their practice absolutely, completely. So therefore, let's try to have some understanding on these 5 hindrances separately. Now, prior to that, we have to recognize the factors of jhana, factors of concentration. Concentration is to bring our minds, bring our attention into a singularity, a singular focus. As the nature of our mind is to go here and there, think this and that, hang around in the past and future, hang around the objects that arise on and off. Natural tendency of the mind is to move around, not to be stay in one particular selected object. And especially if that object is not feeding the sensual pleasures, feeding the desires of the mind, it is extremely hard for us to focus on that object. Of course, if the object is satisfying, feeding, and doing as the demands of the mind, then of course you can focus on it. For example, if you are watching a favorite movie, a drama, you can forget the rest of the world and obsessed, engulfed in that movie and the drama. Because that movie or the drama or the novel or some kind of satisfactory object to your mind is what mind is looking for, is what mind is asking for. So mind is easily focused on it. But if the object is not satisfactory to the desires of the mind, then that mind is not into that object totally, wholeheartedly, completely. It tries to escape from that boring object, from that dull object. Therefore, you will find as you start practicing, developing your concentration, your mind is struggling, fighting with you to run away, to move away from that object, and to hang around in the past memories which were satisfactory for the mind, and the dreams in the future which are also happy to hang around. But with an effort, if a person is engulfing or absorbing in an object which is wholesome, which is helpful for him to suppress the defilements in the mind, as his concentration grows, there are certain factors which support the mind to concentrate starts becoming strong, becoming powerful, and helping the meditator to concentrate easily. So there are 5 factors that help the meditator to concentrate easily. They are vitakka, initial application, vichara, sustained application, piti, zest, sukha, happiness, and ekaggata, one-pointedness. If I repeat it, vitakka, initial application. You bring the mind there and place it. Vichara, sustained application. Continuously hang around on that particular selected object. As you are continuously doing this vitakka and vichara, initial and sustained, the applications that you will find in your mind as the mind is less and less of thoughts, as the mind is getting focused, getting much more hanging around on that selected object, zest, the piti, arise in the mind. Sukha, the happiness arise in the mind. The bodily lightness, the bodily contentment, the bodily joyfulness arise, and mental happiness arise. Piti sukha. And then, of course, one-pointedness, ekaggata. Now, as these factors arise, these factors support the hindrances to suppress. Or in other words, as the 5 hindrances are suppressed, mental factors on the concentration arise. Vitakka, initial application, arise with the suppression of hina, midda, sloth and torpor. Vichara, sustained application, arise with the suppression of doubt. Or as the doubt is suppressed, controlled, prohibited, vichara arise, sustained application arise. Piti, the cess, physical happiness, physical lightness in the body, arise as the vyapa, the ill will, vanishes. Or as the concentration deepens, ill will vanishes, vyapada vanishes, the zest arise. Then sukha, mental happiness, arise as the uddacha kukucha, restlessness and worry starts vanishing, starts suppressing. Then ekaggata, concentration, arise as the sensual desire, kamachanda, vanishes. So in meditation, as one is practicing continuously, by and by, in his effort, he suppresses the 5 hindrances. As he suppresses them, these factors of concentration arises in him. So what are these hindrances? Kamachanda, sensual desire, vyapada, anger, hina midda, sloth and torpor, uddacha kukucha, restlessness and worry, and vichikicha, doubt. Now, during the rest of our talk, let's take each of them and have some understanding on them. Kama Chanda. Kama is what we like. What do we like? Whatever we like is divided into five. The forms, the visuals that our eyes like to see. The beautiful sounds, melodious sounds for our ears. Sweet delicacies, tastes for our tongue. Beautiful fragrances for our nose. The touches, the tangibles, which are smooth, which are pleasant for our body to touch. So basically, these five senses of eye, ear, nose, tongue, and the body. Whatever these five senses desire to have are called kama. Chanda is longing. This body is always longing for those pleasant, happy, beautiful objects for these five senses. This is the desire. This is kama. Now we are engulfed in these desires. Human realm, 6 divine realms are called kama sugati, where these objects, pleasurable objects, objects that please us, these five senses are available. 4 hells, animal realm, preta realm, asura realm, and the hells. These 4 types of hells are called kama dugati. They are called kama dugati because they don't have, or there are no pleasurable or pleasant objects for them to be enjoying. They are deprived of those pleasurable objects, pleasing objects. They are called kama dugati. Now we are stuck in these kama realms because we are all what we do. We are born out of sensual pleasures. We live for sensual pleasures. We are engulfed in these sensual pleasures. And we are disappointed with sensual pleasures. And when we die with unfulfilled sensual pleasures. And we hope to have those sensual pleasures, what we haven't got in this life, in the next life. We are completely obsessed with the sensual pleasures. Now, as much as we are obsessed with the sensual pleasures, do you think it is easy for us to go beyond the sensual pleasures? It is the hardest thing. It is the most difficult thing. We are born with it. It is our root, sensual pleasures. So the meditator has to have a strong, firm conviction himself on the negative side of the sensual pleasures. If he has an aorta of positive side, positive aspects, positive thinking on the sensual pleasures, cannot go beyond it. So Buddha has given so much of meditation objects themselves to reduce the attachment to sensual pleasures. Dvatting Sakara, the 32 parts of the body. They are called the 32 foul parts, 32 repulsive parts of the body. When the body is watched, observed separately, part by part, piece by piece, nothing beautiful is there. You separate your hair, is it beautiful? Yeah. You separate your teeth from your mouth and see separately, are they beautiful? When they are together, it creates this illusion of beauty, but when you disintegrate them, separate them, disunite them, you can see the ugliness. And also Buddha has presented this meditation called Navasivatika. What happens after the death to this body? Those days they did not cremate the body immediately, or they did not bother about what happens to the body after death. They just threw it to the forest. Go back to the nature. Once the one who was in the body is gone, what happens to the body doesn't matter anymore. I think they are much more intelligent than us. We are so worried about what happens to our body after we die. All these rituals, all types of rituals, sometimes spending thousands of dollars. People have to work hard on those rituals for a dead body. I think we are much more ignorant than those ancients, than those ancestors of ours. They were very intelligent. They understood once the pilgrim who were in the body, once that pilgrim is gone to a new body, that physical body must get united with the nature. They just threw away to a forest. Lord Buddha sent the newly ordained monks to those forests, to those cemeteries where the dead bodies are lying. He asked them to go there and watch what happens to the dead body. Sometimes for months, those monks had to sit near a dead body and meditate until it decays gradually and become a skeleton. For a simple purpose. That simple purpose is to destroy his illusory mind of attachment, illusory attachment to the illusory sensual pleasures. Yeah. But in the samatha meditation, in the concentration meditation, as one's concentration is developing, what he finds is a certain happiness which is far more sublime, far more beautiful, independent, joy, happiness, peace within him. Once he found that joy and happiness within him because of the concentration, naturally he will not be attached to sensual pleasures anymore, because he has seen something far more joyful, happy, peaceful than the pleasures given through senses. That's why in the samatha meditation, as one's ekaggata, one-pointedness is developing, his desire for sense pleasures is getting reduced little by little, little by little. So kama chanda, chanda longing, desiring, attachment, kama sense pleasures. Then comes the vyapada, the anger. Now, anger is the other side of the sense pleasures. When somebody is deprived of the sense pleasures, there is anger. Anger in him. Yeah? And it is something well known. Soldiers, those days, in the olden days, when they were sent to battle, sent to wars, they were prohibited of having any sexual relationship for the simple reason to maintain that anger within them. This anger is the other factor that prohibits one's approach to the absorption, to the jhanas. Of course, this anger, vyapada, ill will function in different manners. For example, fear. Fear is the other side of the anger. In anger, we attack, we strike back. In fear, we run away, but it is the same energy. The same energy used as for striking back and running away. This is something we can experience ourselves. When you get extremely angry, after that anger is subsided, what do you feel? You feel tired. You are sweating. You feel some kind of weariness, though you haven't done anything. As the anger is abated, you feel tired. It means certain portion of energy of your body has gone with that anger. That's why when they say that if somebody is to get angry all the time, he becomes weaker. His immune system becomes weaker. His aura becomes weaker. That anger weakens him. So also the fear. A person who is in fear also becomes weaker. The extraterrestrial beings like ghosts can attack him. His aura is weak. It has patches. He can be attacked by those ghosts. Inhuman beings, invisible beings can attack him. And unhappiness. Unhappiness, especially for the meditators. Now, for the meditators, when they practice, they find all sorts of obstacles. Natural obstacles are there. Sometimes they cannot sustain as much as they want. not enough food, not enough facilities. And sometimes these other practitioners are disturbing them. And sometimes their own progress is not up to their expectations. All sorts of obstacles are there. And at the face of these obstacles, they get frustrated, sad. And that sadness is another aspect of the same anger. So, in any form, this vyapada, ill will, can arise in a meditator. When it arises, how to handle it? First thing he should be doing is, at any of these 5 hindrances, what he should be doing is to understand as it is. Understand the fact that in that present moment, I have ill will in me. I have fear in me. I have sadness in me. Understanding that true existence, true state of mind is absolutely important for one to face it properly. If anger is there, if fear is there, and when he understands it, sometimes that understanding itself is sufficient for him to overcome it, for him to get rid of it. If you don't understand it, then what happened? That anger, that fear overcome you. And unknowingly you are doing, you are acting, you are talking in accordance to the command of that anger or the fear or the sadness. So understanding as it is the first factor for a meditator to overcome it. Then once understood, you can handle it, you can manage it with metta. You can manage it with the understanding of karma. Somebody is making me angry. Somebody is doing something that I don't like. His behavior is disturbing for others. Now, if I do not allow him to harm me, he cannot harm me. He can harm me, he can disturb me only if I allow him to do that. If somebody is doing something which I don't like, and if I understand it as it is and let it be there as it is, without letting it come into me and wake up my own anger, and do stuff as the anger commands, then who is doing the harm to me? I myself doing the harm, not others. Others can only provoke me. Others cannot harm me. I let myself to be uncontrolled at the behest, at the command of others. That is his karma, his action. He will have to face it. sooner or later, I am not going to share his karma. I am not going to take part in that unwholesome action. You keep your control. Don't let others' words and actions control you. You are maintaining your own control. That's how a meditator, at the discomforts that he faces, maintaining his control with either metta, with either love in his mind, or with the understanding of karma, or with the sheer understanding of the action, he can have a control over himself and keep the anger at the gate without allowing it into your being and disturb you. So Vyapada, anger, is the second hindrance for the development in concentration of a meditator. The third obstacle or hindrance is hina midda, sloth and torpor. Now, in the earlier part of this talk, I mentioned about this object which is not to the like, to the preference of the mind, is not something that can be easily focused upon, that can be easily concentrated. Also, when the mind is trying to engage upon wholesome deeds like listening to a Dhamma talk, I have witnessed myself when I give talks to a crowd of people, I can see their sleepy faces or yawning places. They are nodding, falling asleep. I have experienced it myself thousands of times. Then what I do is quickly changed my talk into a story. If the story is interesting, I can see they wake up. Those sleepy faces, fully awake now. No more yawning, no more falling asleep, no more nodding. Fully awake. Then when again I go to the explanation of the factors of Dhamma, they are going back to their sleep again. It is the way the mind reacts. It is not their fault. It is how the mind reacts. If the mind cannot find the object is not so interesting, then the sloth and the torpor, sluggishness of the mind, sleepiness of the mind, morbid state of mind starts coming onto the surface. Sloth is considered the sickness of the consciousness. Torpor is considered as the sickness of the mental factors. Now, these two arise together. That is why they are used as a compound term. When they arise, meditator is not capable of understanding them separately. He understands as they are a singular phenomenon. It doesn't matter whether he understands it separately. This is sloth and this is torpor. What matters is he understands that my mind is sluggish now. My mind is falling asleep. My mind is not active now. As soon as he understands, he can transform himself to face this oncoming sloth and torpor. He either can change the postures, or he can assume himself that he is in the light. He can imagine himself that he is in a very well-lit place. If he is meditating at night in the darkness, he can imagine himself. I am in the light, I am in the daytime, as if light is there around him. So likewise, there are techniques for the meditators to absorb and handle this sloth and torpor. And as the sloth and torpor is well handled, suppressed, the vitakka is, initial application is at the full force, strongly functioning. So, sloth and torpor is the third hindrance of these 5 hindrances, pancha nivaranas. Then comes the uddacha kukkucha. Uddacha is the restlessness, kukkucha is doubt. Though they are also attached here like a compound term, like a combined term, they are not so combined all the time. Because restlessness is a part of ignorance, part of delusion, which is subordinate in all unwholesome actions, which is done with greed or hate, and also predominant in the actions which is done with ignorance. So restlessness is there in all the unwholesome deeds as subordinate or as predominant. And restlessness can function alone. And when the restlessness is there, it is not taken as a hindrance. It's just an defilements, klesha, uddacha. And this restlessness is gone only when we become arahants. Yeah. Restlessness or the uddacha is part of, a big part of ignorance. Then kukkucha, doubt. Kukkucha, worry. The worry is all about the past. Worry about what? The past omissions and commissions. The misdeeds that occurred, happened, done in the past. Good deeds that were ignored, undone in the past. Commissions and omissions, which occurred in the past comes in the form of regret to the present. Regretting in Buddhism is an unwholesome deed. We never regret about our good deeds that were done in the past. We rejoice over them. I could do such good deeds, but because of our unmindfulness, because we were careless about preserving the precepts, safeguarding ourselves from doing good, and being careless about the wrong that happened in the past, each and every individual in the world, by the time he comes to the middle age, there are always a heap of things that he is going to worry. He is going to worry about the things that he was not doing, which that he should have been doing, which he carelessly ignored doing, those omissions, and which he was careless to commit also, those commissions. Buddha says, learn the lesson and forget it. If these memories come onto the surface of the mind in the form of regrets, they can become the greatest hindrance for the meditator, because nobody wants to remember those things. When they are not meditating, engaging in day-to-day life with pleasing their senses, pursuing their dreams, engulfing in sensual pleasures, those regrets hardly come onto the surface when they are being busy with the world. But now they are being silent. They are being quiet. Even mind is trying to be focused on one singular object. And those memories which are bound to create regret in them are coming onto the surface. Nobody likes them. And these memories of regrets can create such a turbulence within them, they can absolutely cut off their meditation and say farewell to meditation forever, give up meditation forever, because meditation is torturous for them, because they are bringing those kucha, those worries to them with the regrets. And the worries arise means uddacha, the restlessness arises in them. They cannot focus anymore. They cannot concentrate anymore. Mind is so agitated. So kukucha, worrying, is always accompanied with uddacha, restlessness. But when uddacha is there, it doesn't mean there must be kukucha also. So restlessness and worry, they are taken as a compound or a combined term because of the nature of kukucha. This worry, the worrying nature is always combined with the restlessness. That is why they have taken as a combined term. So Uddhacha Kukkucha is the fourth hindrance that a meditator has to suppress. In the jhana factors, we said this restlessness and worry will be suppressed, or as they are suppressed, sukha, the mental happiness arises. Then comes the last hindrance, which is called doubt, vichikicha, the doubt. Now, here it is not about any other kind of doubts, but the spiritual doubt. Spiritual doubt which hinders one's progress. Yeah. If somebody is doubtful about the Buddha as the human being who cultivated and developed himself to the top level of humanity, he even surpassed the divinity, the Brahmas, with his cultivation of the spirituality. And after that, he just did not enjoy his enlightenment, but turned back and supported as much as of the humanity and the divinity to follow his own path. If somebody is to trust the Lord Buddha as the sole teacher to follow, it means he can have a jump into this practice which is wholehearted. If somebody is to doubt the Buddha's enlightenment, his jump is not wholehearted. His trust is lukewarm. It is not 100%, so it is a hindrance for his practice. Then the doubts about the Buddha's teaching, the Dhamma, the Navalokuttara Dhamma, ninefold supramundane Dhamma, whether it is leading to Nibbana or not. That doubt is the second factor in the vichikicha, in the hindrances. Again, the same result, that he cannot completely, wholeheartedly, unwaveringly jump himself into the practice. The third one is the doubt on the Sangha, the commune, the Buddha's disciples, whether they are as they are claiming to be. Whether the Sangha is Supatipanna, Ujjupatipanna, Nyayapatipanna, and Samichipatipanna. Whether they have entered the right path, straight path, good path, true path. If somebody is to doubt, then the fourth doubt is the practice. The practice is, of course, the Trisiksha, Sila, Samadhi, Panya. If somebody is to have doubts on these Trisiksha, the triple practices, again the same result. Of course, the other doubts are the doubt about the past, whether I had a past life, prenatal past. Many people have that doubt. Then comes the doubt that whether I'm going to have a future life. post-mortem future. If somebody is doubting about the samsaric journey of the past and future, there are many people, they deny even without any proof, they deny of the past lives and future lives. Basically, I think because they want to forget that there are repercussions for their actions. The karma they want to forget. The results they want to forget. The fear. And they find silly excuses to reject this. But Lord Buddha has very clearly said, this is not the first life. This is not the last life. This is one of the lives. One of the lives in this long pilgrimage of birth and death. We all had a prenatal past and post-mortem future. And some people even reject the both sides, the past life and the future life. So these are the spiritual doubts, the doubts on Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, then the practice, dependent origination also, the theory of cause and effect, prenatal past, post-mortem future, and past and future together. These are the doubts that arise in a mind as the obstructions for the concentration. Then Buddha says, when the initial application suppresses the hindrance of sloth and torpor, sustained application suppresses the hindrance of doubt. So these 5 hindrances are burnt up as one's close contemplation, the jhana, is becoming deeper and deeper. Yeah. So it is worthy to remember that with the initial application, vitakka, sloth and torpor, thina middha is suppressed. With the sustained application, vichara, the doubts is suppressed. With the piti, the zest, ill will is suppressed. With the sukha, the happiness, restlessness and worry is suppressed. Ekaggata, one-pointedness, suppresses sensual desire. So, Dhammānupassanā, contemplation on the objects of the mind, is fivefold, and out of these 5, we thought of explaining the first category, which is called the 5 hindrances, due to the fact that the rest of the categories are bound to be explained in our oncoming talks. So that's it for today. Let's share all the happy, beautiful thoughts, meritorious thoughts that we generated in our hearts, together with our departed ones, together with the divine beings. May they all be rejoiced with our merits. Let's share our merits. Akasatta cha bummatta deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu lokasasanam. Akasatta cha bummatta deva naga mahiddhika Punyantang anumoditva Tirang rakkantu loka sasanang Akasatta ca bummatta Deva naga mahiddika Punyantang anumoditva Tirang rakkantu loka sasanang Idang me ñātinang hotu Sukita hontu ñātayo Idang me ñātinang hotu Sukita hontu ñātayo Idang me ñātinang hotu Sukita hontu ñātayo. Blessings for you. Dukkha roga bhayavera soka sabbe upaddava Anekāntarāya pi vinassantu ca tejasa Jaya siddhidanang labang sotti bhagyam sukam balang Siriyayu ca vanno ca bhogam buddhi ca yasava Tatavassa ca ayu ca jiva siddhi bhavantu te Ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevaca Ato nibbana sampatti iminate samijjato. Sadhu.